Everybody, we are back. It is Taped on Life's favoriteest podcast, favoriteest channel, favoriteest everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at BD Williams 18 for BD, at mholder95 for Matt. Right. And also, of course, pandasubs.com. Use TDL for 35% off. All right. So that was definitely a ugly loss. I've been trying to gather my thoughts about this one for a while. I needed a break. I needed a breather for a little bit. We just couldn't do the instant reaction right away. I really had, I needed time to breathe a little bit and try to figure out what happened. And I'm still a little lost. I'm hoping for some help from Matt here. I'm hoping Matt has some genius here that he could tell me exactly what happened here and let me know what was going on, because, I feel like, they're really sluggish from the beginning. It was just ugly from the jump. I kind of felt it, after the first drive, and then because Matt Collins kind of slowed down on the
whole shot.
Yeah, he got to slow down a little bit, and then he missed it. I was like, oh, here we go. So, your guys' thoughts?
I mean, to take it a little bit maybe too far extreme, it feels like last week was fool's gold, to the point where okay, now maybe they're starting to turn the corner, maybe they're starting to do the things where it's starting to click everything, the play you're talking about. Matt Collins tries to sit in the whole shot, Derek Carr keeps throwing it, he keeps running on it, and it's just, again, the theme of the year. They're not a team that's in sync, and here we are almost in November still waiting for them to click, and it's not happening. At this point, I mean, and BD, we were joking before the show about talking about the draft, but we're seven games in, with 5 losses. They had 7 losses all of last year. This is I think we just need to come to grips. This team is just not that. It's not ready. It's not ready. It's not that good at the end of the day.
Not that good, obviously. This team is, like Matt, you just hit it on the head. They're struggling to get in sync still to this point. So whatever progress they make is going to be too little too late. And it might even screw up their draft position if they start making good progress in this area. I mean, what's the chances that this team makes playoffs from here? I mean, would they have to win every single game?
See, that's the thing. I mean, the whole theme before this, I mean, with the previous 3 games, the progress they're making. I mean, they're averaging 27 points a game. They're doing this, and they're getting some defensive touchdowns. They're doing this and that and that and that and this, and they look like this. Maybe they're feeling themselves a little too much too, and who knows? We made the joke on the review about Bourbon Street, but about the going to New Orleans and that trip over there, and they haven't played well on the road, to be honest. I mean, the road has been really ugly for them. Yeah, right. And they're 2-1 at home. I mean, they're basically a totally different team at home at this point. They're on the road. I mean, they had the one bad half at home with the Cardinals, but besides that, they've been pretty lights out at home. They've been pretty lights out. On the road, they're a completely different football team. I mean, we saw it today. I mean, they traveled all the way to New Orleans, and it just. I mean, the offense that, we saw the previous 3 weeks, who knows what the hell happened to them. I mean, the offensive line was leaky. Derek Carr was missing people. Devontae Adams is dropping passes. He can't get his foot down. So I said at halftime when he dropped that pass, I was like, I really can't tell you too much that happened in the second half at that point. I was trying to see what happened with my parlays at that point, see what I was trying to hit on. I'm really mad the Cardinals didn't come through for me on my parlay. But besides that, as soon as when Devontae Adams dropped that pass, I was like, you know what? He can't catch a pass today. He can't keep his feet in.
Yeah, one catch for 3 yards.
We're not. I mean, even when it goes in the right spot and somebody can't come down with it, it's
nothing is gonna go right. It's one of those weeks. I mean, I think this is something that I really believe in with as far as Raiders, as far as it goes with the Raiders. Going across the country and playing the 1:00 start, that's the toughest thing. Any coach has to come in here and learn how to do. Josh McDaniels' experience, with the Patriots isn't going to prepare him for that. That's like a specific to West Coast teams having to learn how to do that. And it's clear he didn't have his team ready whatsoever, right? To do that. So that's another thing I feel like it was under talked about. It wasn't talked about very much, but that's always tough for these teams. And correct me if I'm wrong, that they haven't done that, right? So far this year, they haven't done the 1:00 start on the.
They did against the Titans.
Titans, yeah.
Titans. Okay, yeah. So another one. There you go.
Yeah, another one. They just couldn't put it together.
I mean,
that game was not this one. Let's not get it twisted. This game was just unwatchable. This felt like they're a 3-win team with the way they looked. So
yeah, I mean, and that's what I was gonna say too. Is like, it's a great that's obviously like a reasonable thing to like consider, but like they came out flat in the second half too. Like at least in the Titans game, they at least came out hard. But I mean, to your point, BD, about like maybe it's like it's something that's overlooked. Like one of the teams that are the best at going West Coast to East Coast are the Seahawks, who have Pete Carroll, who's a West Coast coach, been a West Coast coach all but his entire life, except for coaching the Patriots for whatever, coach at USC. So I mean, maybe, but again, doesn't explain getting blanked in the second half and not crossing the 50 until Jared Stidham comes in the game, and everybody else is. And at least I'm watching Red Zone at that point.
Garbage time. I didn't even watch that. I didn't watch that.
You didn't watch Stidham, bro? Are you serious?
No,
you call yourself a Raiders fan? Call yourself a Raiders fan.
I was trying. I mean, you know, I saw the Panthers come back, and then the Panthers were my parlay too because they couldn't make a field goal. It was just terrible. So
wait, you lost money on the Panthers?
Yeah, man. They couldn't make Eddie Pinero. I was like, I saw that pass right to DJ Moore, man, and then Eddie Pinero. It just wasn't my week. It just wasn't my week.
That's an all-time bad beat because you had they had 2 chances to win. Sorry, not to rub it in.
It's terrible, but yeah, at that point. But you know, to me, we can try to talk about schematic stuff here, I guess, a little bit. To me, it felt like they had the same game plan they had against the Chiefs and against the Texans and against the Broncos. Is we're just going to play smash mouth football. And I think against the Chiefs, who are a really good run team, it ended up working. And I don't know, maybe that caught the Chiefs off guard. But the Saints, you know, I talked about that a little bit on the previous show I did this morning, is that they are a sound run football team. Pete Warner and DeMario Davis, they don't play around with the run game. And we saw that a little bit. So we saw maybe they get a nice little 10-yard run, but then they get two back-to-back runs where they're getting stuffed in this 3rd and 7. And the Raiders have been sorry on 3rd down all year. So that kind of crept back in a little bit. And those 3rd and longs, they've been hitting a couple of them the past couple of games, but they actually haven't had that many of them either. And then we saw a lot of them. And then you see the offensive line starts leaking. And then, you know, if they want to throw downfield, you know, it's not happening that quick. And then Marcus Davenport decided he wanted to have the game of his life and just was destroying Colton Miller. So it was just out of sync everywhere on offense, in my opinion. I think they just had a terrible. I think they had a game plan like, we're going to do the same exact thing to the Saints. And the Saints were like, no, I mean, we have the actual linebackers, which is the NFL doesn't have a lot of. NFL doesn't have a lot of those 2 tandem linebackers that are like those 2 that are just going to come down and play run defense. And, you know, everybody else passed on that team. You had to come out and pass on them, and they thought they were just come out and do the same damn thing they've been doing every single week. And they're talking about adjustments and how they play to people. The Saints aren't going to adjust. They're not going to be like. They're not going to do these different schematics. They're going to play the same thing every single week. They've been doing it for like 7 years. Yeah. You know? I don't know. Keep going.
I mean, they were beat up in the secondary too. Like Marshawn Lattimore, I don't think he played, right? He didn't play. I mean. And like too, like the Saints were like, you could tell, like there was a few plays where I was like taking notice, like they were playing, we're not gonna let Josh Jacobs beat us. They loaded up that box. I mean, pretty much every time they could. And then the Raiders got beat up front. You know, we've been talking about this offensive line. Everyone wants to toad about how great they've been the last few weeks. I mean, definitely think they've been better. I thought they were getting a little overhyped, and I think you saw it today. And they went up against guys like Marcus Davenport, who's been having a good year and end up having a career day. Colton Miller, like we were talking about before the show, Colton Miller was getting his lunch eaten by Marcus Davenport, both as a pass rusher and against the run. I mean, Davenport, I think he got 1 sack on him. I know he got at least like 2-3 pressures, and then they had that fly sweep to Adams that was there, but Colton Miller gets beat on the inside and it's a third down stop. So can't run the ball when you can't block them up front. And they were overmatched in the trenches today for sure.
Yeah, and when you go against like an old school shaped team like the Saints, and you want to play 21 personnel and have all these guys in there, I mean, they're going to be prepared to play inside that box and play inside that tight man coverage too. They're going to be ready for that. So, I mean, the guys got to win outside, and it's and your quarterback. He's off on that day. And I always talk about this. Derek Carr, he's gonna have his off days. And when he's having good days, you got to win those games. The Raiders lost 2 of those games when he has some good games. You waste them, then here he comes. He has the dud, and then I knew this was coming too. Like I felt it. I kind of called it on my quarterback podcast. Anybody listens to it, you don't waste them. So it happens, and it's just going to be. I mean, watch next week they might come out and piss us off and make everybody else excited, and then that's why I hate this team right now. So that's what I'm mad about. That's why I hate this team right now. That's why I hate them. But go ahead.
This is an like as far as a loss goes, getting one of those duds out, because Derek Carr is always doing like 2 or 3 dud games, right? Getting one of those out of the system, getting letting Josh McDaniels realize, okay, I can't just run 21 personnel and just do the exact same thing every single week. Okay. You kind of, Devontae Adams, he had the flu. Darren Waller, hamstring tightened up. He couldn't do anything, right? It was a perfect storm of terrible things to happen. You just get it all out of your system. All right. And move on. But I still feel like this is a crushing blow to the season. Like this is it. Right?
Oh yeah. It is. Oh, I 100% agree with that. We didn't even get to defense yet, but I mean, it is a crushing blow to the season. But I mean, this team is just they want to.
I mean, I think we talked about this like right after
show some like, but whatever. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we talked about this like right before the bye, like right after the Chiefs game. Like the Raiders had 6 winnable games in front of them, like this 6-game stretch that they're in right now, but they like had to win 6 because right now they're gonna go up. Now they're playing. Next week they got the Jags. I feel like they can beat the Jags. So be no problem. Colts, who knows how Sam Ellinger works. And then they get the Broncos. So they do get a good stretch. They play Seahawks, who are clearly not a bad team right now. Like that's not the game we thought it was going to be 2-3 weeks ago. Chargers, it's going to be a tough game. Rams, it's going to be another tough game in LA. And then Patriots and whatever. So their schedule now becomes what was an easy schedule now looks more like a gauntlet, partly because other teams are playing better, like the Seahawks, and 2, like this was a game that we thought they had to win. They could not drop with starting 1-4. They didn't give themselves enough leeway in front of the bye to have a game like this, which is the problem. Which is I think what you're getting at.
Right.
Stop talking about the 8-9 trajectory this team is on. I don't want to talk about it now.
I was about to say that is like when we were talking about like the draft position, like that is exactly where this team is heading. Like they'll probably, like I said, they'll probably beat the Jags. I think they can beat the Colts. Hell, they'll probably at this point come up with some like crazy.
Yeah, they're gonna surprise us.
Yeah,
when we don't want them to win, they're gonna beat someone.
Exactly.
That's what.
So this game pisses me off. But
yeah.
So
because everybody's gonna be super down this week. It's gonna be like crazy. Everybody's gonna be super down. People are gonna be screaming at each other about all these different types of things. What's gonna happen? And it's just this next week. I don't know. But anyways, thoughts on the defensive performance.
I mean, I thought the defense, like, to start the game,
field position. Yeah,
I was going to say,
come on.
What can you do? Was bad. The first touchdown for drive was bad. Like, they gave up, like, whatever. But, yeah, one of them, at one point, they gave up 10 points and only gave up, like, 50 yards.
Yeah.
Like, they had that one touchdown that they, like, started at, like, the 45, right? And then they had one drive where they, like, I think it was that Carr's interception or the fake field goal or the fake punt, excuse me.
Oh, that was crazy.
Where they gave up 9 yards, gave up points. And even the like 75-yard drive that they gave up at the end, I think the Saints, like they gave them like an extra. AJ Cole missed the punt and gave it to him at the 16, and then they had a hold to give it to him at the 26. So a ball that could have been within the 5 or the 10 ended up being at the like a kickoff touchback. Like they could not help out the defense whatsoever, offensively or defensively.
No.
Team of the year.
The defense didn't get any help today at all. I feel like they I mean, they had a chance to kind of stop this team a little bit at certain points, but the offense just, I don't know what happened with any of that. They just didn't show up. I mean,
Yeah.
So I mean, they gave him no
It
help,
doesn't-
especially when
it
you don't
doesn't
cross the
matter
50.
at the end of the day.
I mean, it's just stupid. It's just ridiculous. So.
At the end of the day, your offense scores 0 points, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't, like what's the defense supposed to do? Hold them to 0? You have a 0-0 tie.
Yeah, man.
Like, what does the defense do?
Yeah, and like we were just talking about, the offense also kind of gave up points in the fact that like they put their defense in such terrible spots with the pick with the other stuff. So it's like the offense was more negative than it was positive. So
this is a throwaway game. This is a throwaway game. Complete throwaway.
The reverse of 3rd and 1, bro. Like that let me. I was like, oh, okay, all right. This is the type of game this is. I mean, did the coaching staff go out too? I don't know. Like I felt like maybe the coaching staff went out and they're calling reverses on 3rd and 1 with Josh Jacobs on your team. You know what I mean? Like,
I will say that like fly sweep that they ran, like that was there. Just Colton Miller, like I said, got his ass kicked.
You're having a non-running back get a key 3rd and 1. I mean, even with the flow of the game, the way the game was going.
This is a coach out coaching himself.
Yeah, with the reverse. And then they did it. Then they tried to do a fake punt. Like at least flip the field.
It's funny. We love to make fun of Brandon Staley for going for it. Like I guess the Chargers or whatever. Like that gave the Raiders like the ball at like the 25 or whatever. That basically was the same call as the fake punt. Just except the Raiders tried to get cuter with it. I mean, think about it. The Raiders were down. They go for it in their own territory, don't get it, and give the Saints a short field. Like, pretty similar call that a lot of people call Brandon Staley an idiot for. Granted, less on the line, but at the same time, like we were just talking about, this could be the playoffs.
For McDaniel's like, who cares? What do we have to lose here? This team sucks, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. The playoffs weren't hanging in the balance at all. This team. Playoffs? Like, come on.
They got up to like they're like with the comp picks. I think someone tweeted out it's like there could be up to like 12 picks right now. So
12 picks.
Yeah,
maybe
12 picks, man. All those picks.
Yeah. All right. I will say about the defense, D-line though. D tackles had another rough day, including Andrew Billings, who's been the one saving grace for the day. Like that was like the one thing. Like, if we're looking back on like the one thing that defense can definitely improve, it's one figuring out how to cover a guy like Alvin Kamara and just stop Alvin Kamara in general. But the run game was not great. Like both sides of the trenches again. Not what I was hoping.
Yeah, and Anthony Avery, I don't think he's. We got to figure out him out. Sam Webb got to get out there. Avery, he is just toast out there. He's just getting burnt. I mean, whatever term you want to call for it. Anthony Avery is getting burned by everybody. He's getting burned by, practice squad guys. Everybody's beating Anthony Avery right now. So he's literally a liability out there. I honestly think if they played somebody else, then maybe the secondary might have held up on some of those 3rd downs, but they just attacked Avery. With Olave, they switched it up. They gave it Callaway. Everybody, they switched it up, and whoever he was guarding, they went there. So obviously there's something up there, and maybe they got to try to figure out something else and try to give some of these young guys, a play. And we're talking about,
I mean,
going through the season. Go ahead.
Maybe Everett needs to go on injury reserve. Maybe because that is not the player that was, came in and started for Baltimore all year last year. That's not the guy. So that's tough. That's tough that he's having a downswing. I agree. Sam Webb should get in there for sure. That would be at this point. There's really nothing to lose here. So let's see what Sam Webb has. Let's see what some of these younger safeties too. Have as well. They have Paul Mao and maybe even some of these linebackers. Honestly, because linebacker play, it's not like it's great. So maybe seeing what Masterson can do in a starting role or something like that. At this point, I would, because it can't. It's not like the defense. Yeah, we could say, the defense had a terrible situation, but it's not like they played great in a terrible situation. They still played like below average in a terrible situation. So
and getting some of these young linebackers, you never know what some of these guys can do, especially at the linebacker position. You can find some pretty good players undrafted. So maybe if Masterson has some chance to come in there. I mean, I think Darian Butler's still around too. I don't know if he's on the practice squad or wherever he's at right now, but
He was suited up today. I'm pretty sure I saw him on the sideline, I think.
Yeah, because Diablo's not cutting it. Yeah, I mean Perryman. I mean, he does his job. He does what he does. So but they got to mix
I
it
also
in.
feel like he's been. I was gonna say I feel like Perryman's been missing and lunging a lot of tackles this year. Like he seems like he's like almost trying to play a little bit of hero ball. Like he like comes downhill a little bit too hard and ends up leaving his feet and whiffing. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like I noticed that a few times at least today.
Yeah, BD speaks to that more than me.
Yeah, I mean, he's just playing a different style, and I talked about this a lot. This is not the style that Denzel Perryman played at a Pro Bowl level last year. It's a completely different style of defense. I remember people were like, "What do you mean Denzel Perryman's like a lock to be an impact player? Like, what do you mean? Like, he's one of our best players?" And I was like, "No, this is not. This is a completely different scheme." So, and he's a little guy doing that too, like the downhill stuff, like you're saying, Matt.
Yeah,
he's literally the smallest linebacker in the NFL. So, I don't think that he's comfortable doing it, and I don't think that he's going to last anyway. 17 games doing it either.
I mean, which has already happened, which has already come true. I mean,
yeah,
he's missed games already. So, and then even Blake Martinez, like he's coming there, he really hasn't done anything really special either to kind of fill in there. They kind of brought him in, so maybe he's trying to look at some of these young guys, which I kind of feel like they're kind of scared to do a little bit too. Kind of look at these younger players. Even with the Alex Bars experiment that they've been doing, I mean, they got away with it for a little bit, and I feel like that really, that there's saying some of these things they kind of pop up when you don't want them to, and you kind of been hiding some of these guys. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the offensive line going forward, but yeah. Because to me with this game, like I really just want to go watch the film. I want to see what the hell happened because I saw a lot of looking at places like him getting sacked. Like, is it on him? Is it the line? Is it whatever? I want to try to see what's going on in the secondary to see why there wasn't a lot happening back there. So I mean that's kind of where I'm at with this game. That's what I've been thinking about since the game ended. I'm trying to see what's going on. I'm trying to hit this film and.
On a bit of a side note, Marcus, I'm curious because Bars to Simpson, like, is there that much of a difference? Because I mean, I felt like when I was watching Simpson this year at the beginning of the year, I mean, he wasn't like making any devastating blocks, but I didn't feel like he was that big of an issue. And I watched Alex Bars, and it's like I feel like he keeps popping up in negative ways every time I'm watching films, even when I'm not watching it. Was Simpson playing that bad that he needed to be benched like this, and this guy's still rolling out there? Like I'm trying to figure out why Bars is still out there at this point, to be honest.
To be honest, I don't know, man. I mean, he's playing. I mean, Simpson wasn't playing like awesome. He wasn't playing like great. I mean, he's playing average, right? I mean, he's playing some average.
Right, and that's what I mean.
I thought he was playing better than Bars, though. I mean, I thought I think in the run game, Simpson is not as good as Alex Bars, and I think that's what they thought. Their thought process is Simpson is better.
Really?
Yes, I think Simpson is not as consistent in run blocking, because a lot of his technique issues pops up more in run blocking than it does in pass blocking. He's a way better pass blocker. Pass blocker, he's actually pretty solid. I mean, as a pass blocking guard, he picks up stunts really well.
He's a better athlete.
Yeah, he communicates really well with Colton Miller and a lot of that with pass blocking. But when it comes to run blocking, he does have some issues more there than he does as a pass blocker. With Alex Bars is better as a run blocker. So maybe that's their thought process. But what happens is, and then you get into this type of game where you got to pass, which happens every time they have Alex Bars out there when they get into got to pass mode, and he just starts getting murdered. And I'm pretty sure
they should just swap these guys. Like
maybe I don't know. Maybe,
like okay, we're coming from behind. Put Simpson in.
It's like basketball when you have it's like basketball. You have your defense team and your 3 team. They have their run pass offensive line. I like it. We get hockey shifts going in and out between plays. Yeah, I like it.
Might as well, man. They're already
Don't
rotating,
make
guys.
This guy play the whole game. Come on, give him a rest. Great job, Bars. Great job. You were blocking the crap out of that run game in there. Okay, now take a seat. Let the pass protector get in there. I don't understand.
I mean, the thing is, maybe I need to go back and actually sit down and chart it. But I feel like I watch Bars blow run blocks too. They made the switch. They flipped they flipped Parham and Bars, right, in that weird switch. And I feel like both of them have been playing. I mean, Bars has been playing as bad as he was on the other side. And I feel like Parham's been playing a lot worse on the left.
Bars didn't have a blown block this past game in the run game, but every other game he's had at least 2 in the run game. So I'll tell you that, man. I do chart that, and he is terrible. Yes, he's definitely a terrible player. But they've been getting away with it. They've been getting away with it because they've been able to consistently be in the top of the lead and run the ball, right? And what happens is when you have to pass, you have a linebacker leaking right through, and Derek Carr has getting hit, and they're running into each other. It wouldn't even matter, and who knows where the ball would have went. I don't even still, they talk about it. That would have been a touchdown. No, it probably wouldn't have been Derek. That would have been a touchdown. I don't know where that ball was going. But what happened on that play though is that Alex Bars and those guys is there, and they don't communicate, and the guy just runs right through him, right into him. So sure, it looks really cool when Josh Jacobs is also dodging 8 guys too, and then making a run as well. It looks really cool, but then when he can't dodge people, and then they got these linebackers, Pete Warren, Demario Davis are hitting these guards when they're pulling hard. I showed that on the preview too, man. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see that when I watch. That stuff's not going to work, and you're going to have to pass with some pass protectors. I mean, it's today's NFL, man. You can't have the run blocking guard in there, and it's going to come in.
Whatever. Man.
It was working. They were scoring 30 points a game. It was working, and I was just watching him get beat over and over again. But then,
why? I noticed that, Matt. They changed Parham to the left side. Why do they keep doing this? Are they going to settle on?
Trying to find an offensive line for next year. They did it. If you go back and watch the Patriots, somebody sent me that, and I looked it up, and they literally were setting up the offensive line for the next year, and they added 1 draft pick. So they're probably planning to draft somebody, right? Probably planning to draft a right tackle or something, and then they're gonna put Parham where they want to put him. They're probably gonna keep James because they like James. James is playing pretty well. They like him. They like Miller, and then they'll probably find another guard somewhere. But they're trying to figure out where they want to put these guys for next year. I'm telling you, that's probably what the hell they're doing, because that's what they did in New England.
So then they've already written off this year. They already wrote it off then.
I mean, I kind of feel like that, but then I go back to it feels like they're trying to play both sides and it's not working at all. It feels like, you know what I mean? They're doing the things getting rid of the guy. They're trying to get their guys or whatever, get their guys in, you're talking about, get their offensive line. But at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that they also brought in a 30-year-old receiver and a 32-year-old pass rusher. I feel like they tried to play both sides, tried to fix it as they go, and it's blown up in their face.
And everything's in 3-year deals too, which is kind of showing me what their thought process was. Everything's a 3-year deal. So they decided we're going to put this into year 1, year 2, year 3 type of aspect, and they kind of fill in their players inside of it. So you know what I'm saying? I don't know what they're going to focus on in the draft or where they're going to go. And, I know where people want to go with that, but, I know where they want to go, but we don't know what they're going to do, what their plan is, because everything is set up for 3 years. We don't know exactly what their thought process, but yes, BD, when I saw that they had in 2016, they brought in Shaq Mason and all those guys who actually ended up being that offensive line for the next 5 years. It's oh, okay. They're trying to decide who the offensive line is going to be for this team. It's like a year tryout.
But I guess what part, I don't know, maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth here, BD, but I think part of the question too is if Parham was playing well at right guard, why move him to left?
Yes.
Why not just leave him? Even if that's just going to be you're looking for the offensive line of the future. I mean, I guess maybe you want him and Colton Miller to get continuity together and start building that relationship. But if a guy is just good at this spot and at this side, why not just leave him there? Granted, Parham's played every position on the offensive line, so maybe that's part of it too. But it just seems weird to me. It's why are you putting this guy in a disadvantage, a disadvantageous situation? But
Yeah,
but they've been doing this all year.
Yeah. Why do you continue to keep doing it? Yeah.
So it's clear that like this is their plan, and it really honestly feels like, just from a fan's perspective, it feels like they went into this year with, with one leg chopped off already, and we're trying to see what they can do, right?
Yeah.
But it's in game. We already know the result. We already know what the result's going to be. It's all about next year, unfortunately. That's how I feel.
So my conspiracy theory is I think they went into this year thinking they were going to win. I think they thought they got Devontae Adams, they signed all these deals, and they thought they're going to coach up this offensive line. I really feel like they thought they're going to come in, they're going to coach these guys up. And once they realized they couldn't, they're like, all right, let's just play a little musical chairs. We're not going to be too good on offense because this offensive line's not going to hold up, and we're not going to score as many points as we thought. And then the kind of season just kind of went along like that. That's kind of what I feel like, because I feel like they watched the offensive line in training camp and they decided that this is not going to work. Because Leatherwood was there. Leatherwood's gone. A lot of the stuff they talked about early on.
Yeah, I will say, like, one of the common themes and one of the things I've kind of felt like for the whole season, especially when it comes to the offensive line, is it feels like whatever worst case scenario they envisioned was not as bad as what it is right now. Like they had envisioned that between Brandon Parker and Alex Leatherwood in training camp, one of them would have at least figured it out enough to be like a serviceable right tackle. Not even a good one, but just like to at least stay on the freaking roster. And then when that blew up, and then John Simpson's not playing well or not playing to their standards for what they're looking for, you're calling up Alex Bars off the practice squad. Or, I think he made the roster, but whatever. Like, you're calling up Alex Bars, who hasn't made a start in his NFL career, and now he's playing. Like, it feels like it's like this. They did not plan for the absolute worst case scenario, which is exactly what's happening.
Yeah. I don't think they looked in the offensive line at all, really. I mean, they re-signed Brandon Parker
because they couldn't find anybody else. They re-signed him after the draft because the draft well was gone. And then they ended up with Thayer Munford as their only right tackle or offensive tackle addition at that point. Yeah,
and then when you got to pass with Thayer Munford too, what happens? He just starts getting beat. It doesn't look as good as when it's only 21 pass snaps, and when it turns into the pass snaps, it doesn't look as good.
21 pass snaps, 8 of them were play action. Come on.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're going long here. We talk about this future of the Raiders, because they're going to probably win the next 2 games and then have us thinking, can they make the playoffs? Is the wild card possible? No. And being stupid here. So
telling you right now, we're not. I'm not getting on that train.
Okay,
no point.
Okay. All right.
It's over.
All right.
I love it. We've turned BD. But I do have one question, since we're talking about the future. One question to throw out there. Mm-hmm. So we've been talking about the future. Keep saying how this season's a loss. We've talked about in the past, Josh Jacobs. The Bills trade deadline's on Tuesday. Bills call on Monday. Would you even hear out the offer? They've been linked to a lot of running backs, linked to McCaffrey all throughout the trade deadline and all this other stuff. What would you accept from the Bills for Josh Jacobs, or would you even pick up the phone? And like we've talked about before, it seems like all signs are pointed to Josh Jacobs walking in free agency.
I mean, if I felt more comfortable with Zamir White, then I would take the phone call, but I don't, so I would probably hang up.
But we were talking about this season's lost anyway. What is this?
Huge drop off. Such a huge drop off.
I mean, like, I was playing respectable football this year. Click.
Respectable football. We're just talking about how I'm going 8-8 or 8-9 is terrible.
Here's why, Matt. Here's why it's a no, Matt. Without Jacobs, like, are people even going to come watch these games?
No, they're
not. I mean, that doesn't matter to me.
Mark Davis is going to veto that one quick. He's gonna be like, hold on.
Fair point.
He puts butts in seats.
Yeah, he's like, relax. They're coming to see Jacobs.
Come on, Zamir White has been no good. He's been no good. So we can't.
It's Britton Brown time, baby.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe Britton Brown.
I I mean, that would be the tank of the tanks if they trade.
Exactly.
But what?
That's why they're tanking.
Say you get a 3rd round pick.
Oh,
you can get a 3rd round pick for Josh Jacobs.
Tanking for a 3rd.
Tanking for a 3rd. I mean, the guy's going to walk in free agency unless you give him $15 million a year, and you've already paid.
15. I don't know.
A third round pick? No. It's got to be 2nd at least, right?
No, you just use him all year. Let him build up his stats, right? And then if Bijan Robinson falls to you, just there you go.
3rd round pick.
Okay, but again, you if you don't make the playoffs, you let him walk in free agency. You get nothing.
I don't know. Bijan Robinson, people are gonna hate on him. He's not gonna go top 10 anyways. He probably should. So he's gonna be around 2017.
You're talking about
Texas?
Bijan Robinson? My bad.
Texas.
He's gonna be around the 15-20 range because everybody's gonna be hating on running backs. So he's gonna get a lot of hate. He's gonna be around the 15-20 range. I'm just saying.
Okay, I love Bijan Robinson, but if the Raiders have this bad of a problem on their offensive line and they take a running back in the 1st round, I'm gonna be livid.
They have 12 picks.
Yeah, I'm not
saying 12 picks, Matt.
What's that?
They have 12 picks.
They have 12 picks. Still, even better. You can get a running back later. More chances to get a running back in the middle of the draft.
I'm just saying.
I agree.
If the Raiders,
I agree.
Depending on how free agency went, I would lose my shit.
That would be the most Josh McDaniels thing, though. That would be the most Josh McDaniels thing ever.
Oh, I'm not going to rule it out. Now that you put it in my head, I'm like, this is probably going to happen. I'm like, this is definitely what's going to happen, especially after spending
Sony
your
Michelle,
2nd pick.
guys.
He shares carries too. Bijan Robinson shares carries too, Matt. They love that. He doesn't take the whole full workload. 3rd down back.
That's Raiders all over, baby.
I have visions of just nightmares of me doing all this draft prep just for them to take someone like that in the 1st round and be like
trade up for him too.
That's every year, last 3 years.
Yeah, or they'll have them trade up into the top 5, right? And have all the fans excited for a quarterback, and they take Jelani Carter, which I'll be like, yo, that's dope. But then wow, you jumped that high for a DT, huh? They're gonna do something like that.
Oh, you mean talking Jalen Carter?
Oh, Jalen. I said Jelani.
It's Jelani. I was like, wait a minute.
Jalen.
I was thinking that. Yeah, gotcha.
It's delirious. The Raiders didn't score a point.
All right, let's go. All
right, let's get out of here, guys. All right. Subscribe. It's a long instant reaction. Hope you guys enjoyed some of that reactions. I don't know what's happening in the comments. I'm pretty sure got some interesting comments there. But thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully they play better than this the rest of the year. Let's just say that. Whatever happens the rest of the year, it's better than this.
Just play that on the quote board.
Yeah. Play better than that.
Hopefully they play better than this. Put that on the quote board. Include the score at the bottom.
Yeah, play better than this. There you go. That should be the mantra of the year for
from just win ready baby to play better than this.
Just play better. Exactly. Hashtag just play better than this. All right, guys. All right, we're out of here. See you.
Later, y'all.